Welcome back, everyone. So I'm doing some work to my 22 CX-5. It's got just a touch over 50,000 miles now, and I'm on my second brake job. Story time. So at about 40,000 miles, the original brakes were still good. They were still passable, but it was the fall of last year, and I live in New Hampshire, and I don't want to do brakes in the winter. So when I had it inspected in May, they said your brakes they're okay. Just keep an eye on them. And because we used to do yearly inspections, we've just stopped doing that as of January 1st of this coming year. So side issue. Anyway, so I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do the brakes now. Just get them done. I did all four corners. I used the Rodent Element 3s based on some recommendations by some other folks who own these. And I felt it was a good decision. I did the job. And I've been doing my own brakes, by the way, since I was a child. I mean, I've been doing brake jobs even before I could drive. My dad was a mechanic, and I used to help him, with various things. And he taught me how to do brakes when I was just a little kid. Where to put grease, where not to put grease, how to clean them, how to compress the pistons, all that. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm 40 years old, so I think I know how to do brakes. So just to get that out of the way, once these are coated rotors. Here's the rotor I pulled off. These are coated. Now let's talk about coated rotors for a moment. These are 1 year old. They look like shit. They already look like shit. Okay? They're coated. You friggin' do. Coating doesn't amount for shit. It just comes right off. So that aside, look at these rusted worse than the factory rotors. My God. So anyway, once this coating wore off on the braking surface, so these coated rotors, when you pull them out of the box, they look beautiful. The entire braking surface is coated. And the idea is, within the first couple hundred miles, that coating, first 100 miles, that coating wears off, revealing nice, clean metal. And it's supposed to help the pads and the rotors break in together somehow. Well, it didn't really work that way. I'd say within the first couple thousand miles, I started getting a lot of growling and grinding noises out of these brakes. I mean, it was grinding. Like you hit the brakes and it sounds like there's rocks stuck between the pads and the rotors. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe it'll go away. It didn't. It'd come and go. And then in the last 6 months, I started noticing a shudder on deceleration when I would apply the brakes even moderately. And it's in the front. It's coming from the front. The rears are fine. I could feel a shudder in the vehicle. But the wheel was staying straight. So if the wheel is going side to side, if you feel it in the steering wheel, then your rotor is it's warped. But the shudder is caused by an inconsistent friction surface. And I'm looking at these rotors, and they're developing. It looks like there's some galling going on. If I didn't know any better, I was taking this car on the track and beating the snot out of it. This is my daily driver. I drive it like a grandma. Look at these rotors. There's a lot of, looks like a redistribution of metal along the surface. Let's look at the pads. Now the pads, I mean, look at them. They're fine. They're like new. So much meat on these pads. But this groove is already packed with shit. I think that's pretty typical, though. But, my lord. What is going on with these rotors and pads? This is the outer one. This is his Element 3. Now, these shims they also squeak, by the way. They squeak really badly, too. They are shimmed. Factory shims on these. But it's like the pad material is just whatever was left over in the bucket for that run. I don't know. Now what I found is if I take them apart and clean them every couple 100 miles, they're fine. Go figure. What the hell? So I went ahead and I said, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. We're going to go back to factory pads and rotors. So I went and I bought from the Mazda dealer, brand new, made in Japan rotors. I gotta do the other side. So the driver's side is done. I gotta do it. But here are the rotors from the factory, Japanese made. Here are the pads. These are Japanese made Akibonos. Now these come with the shims as a separate pack. You have to buy the shim kit, the rotors, and the pads. It's 3 separate line items. And you have to apply the grease. So these pads, these shims do not come attached. You have to attach them with a little bit of grease, just a smear of grease on each. And what the grease is supposed to do is it's supposed to help absorb some of that vibration, and it reduces or eliminates brake squeal. That's the whole idea behind it. But these are Akibonos. That's what the factory uses. The rotors, don't really know who made those. They're just made in Japan. I'm going to do an oil change though while I'm here. So this, by the way, I want to show you. This is kind of cool. So I actually apply fluid film to my vehicle whenever I have a moment to do so. There's a little bit of rust on that leading edge there, but look at what it does. It keeps that metal nice and shiny, preventing rust. Although, okay, see, it did a great job there. Car's 3 years old, so, you know, it's pretty typical for a 3-year-old car in New England as far as what it looks like now. But I'm going to reapply the fluid film over here. And is that grease? There's some grease in that joint there. Ew. Yeah, it helps. Doesn't prevent rust, but it does reduce it. But we're ready to put this side together, and I'm gonna start preparing for that oil change next. But this is what the factory rotors look like. They have a black coating, but only on the non-friction surfaces. It's only applied on the edges. It doesn't last. It'll rust up in 2 years, but that's okay. That's just a cosmetic thing. But nice cast iron knuckle on this car. These are really well made. Don't forget that. I almost left that there. Yeah, these vehicles are pretty well put together. I can already tell you where there's going to be a problem on these. Right behind here. There's a lot of debris up in here. So you want to probably make a point to take that off once in a while and clean it out. I'm going to do the same right now, actually. I'm going to pull this off. We'll get all the crap out of there. So all of this trash just came out of here. This is going to be a trouble spot. Every car's got one, or 10. This is going to be the CX-5's trouble spot right here. Mark my words. Yep. Mark my words. I think I broke that. I gotta reattach that now. It broke off. But anyway, yeah, that's gonna be a big trouble area for these cars down the road as they get older. So maybe maybe once a season, clean this out, because otherwise you're gonna end up with dams, and nobody likes dams. Nobody. Okay, so I got my oil filter ready to go on. Now, it's important to point out this one has grease on it. So you're not really supposed to put oil on this. It already has that on the seal. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pre-fill this because it's a vertical filter, so it makes sense to do so. So I'm going to put a little bit of oil in this, and then I'm going to pop it on. I just want to point out something here. Look at how easy Mazda made this oil change. I've never seen this in a car. I've owned a ton of vehicles. I've done a ton of oil changes, and I've never seen one like this. The filter's right here, the plug's right here. Couldn't be simpler. All you got to do is swing away this little panel, and you got access to everything you need to do the oil change. It's all right there. Couldn't be easier. They used a steel oil pan where every other automaker is going with plastic. It even has a steel transmission pan, if I'm not mistaken. Mazda built these well. They really did. And maybe not intentionally, but just because of, you know, using traditional methods of manufacturing, they just, you know, they didn't overcomplicate things. They didn't go nuts trying to find a way to make it fail. They did it right, and they did it well. I'm glad I bought this thing. Here's the undercarriage. All this is just, I just sprayed some new fluid film while I'm down here. Jacking points right there. I mean, what a well thought out, well engineered vehicle. It is something you just don't see a lot of these days. You know, you just don't see that anymore. Most automakers are just going to hell, and I think Mazda's on the way to hell with the new CX-5. I've already got an opinion on it. I think it's a mistake. They're taking away the physical buttons that Mazda owners prefer, at least the current ones, and replacing them with touchscreens. I don't like it. I don't like it. But, I mean, someone in a C-suite office thinks it's a good idea, so it shall be. This clip won't go in. There we go. I have actually had to come down here after I've gone to oil change places, including the dealer, and I've had to replace clips because they take them out. They don't need to take them out, but they do anyway. That one's stripped. I don't know what that one's. I think it's for the coolant. But I got to clean out this side. While I'm down here, I'm going to clean that out, just as I did the other side, and then we can put the wheels on. This isn't rust. It's fluid film. It sets up like a grease. You just keep reapplying it. Oops. Doing that, knocking things over. But anyway, oil change. Well, the oil change isn't done. I still got to put oil in it. But here's the oil that came out. This is a little over 3,000 mile oil. Not too bad. Not too shabby. I got to dump that into I have an oil waste drum that I use. I wish I could burn that in my household furnace, but it doesn't work that way. And just as I thought, look at all that. All that came from in here. Now, it doesn't take a rocket genius to figure out that long term, that's just going to keep building up and building up, create water dams, and create moisture being held in here. Now, this car is 3 years old. I didn't see any signs of rust or anything like that. But long term, this has already been cleaned out once. But yeah, this is typically where New England cars rust anyway. A lot of older vehicles that you find on the road, they start rusting just in this region, and this is why. So this isn't a Mazda thing. This is a New England car thing. And it is very common if you're out used car shopping. Especially if you're looking at older vehicles that have been around for a while. That's the kind of stuff you're going to find, and this is what causes it. Normally, water, so that's where the sunroof drain is let out. So there's 4 drains in the sunroof, and there should be a tube that runs down the A-pillar down into here. and it's just a recipe for disaster. But after 3 years, it hasn't really affected anything, but give it 5, 10, 15 years, that's when you're going to start seeing corrosion. And that's just the cost of living up here. Well, I should explain what I mean by that. So it's not just the debris that builds up. It's the debris, it's the road salt, which washes. So these cars get covered in road salt. That gets washed down every time you wash the car. That road salt becomes liquid. It goes down inside those, what'd you call that? The trailing end of the wheel well. And there you go. So I'm ready to put the wheels back on and get the oil in the engine. So that'll be my next step. But I did figure out what happened here. So let's take a look at these pads. I found 2 of them like this. So let's see if I can zoom in on it. Look at that. So what we have here is material cracking in like a star pattern. Okay, here's another one. That one doesn't have the cracking, but this one does. And this one's far more pronounced. Okay, look at that. Material is cracking. This is the outer pad, and this is an outer pad, and these are the inner. So the outer pads are cracking in the same spot. Go figure. So between that and the poor quality metal that's used in these rotors, I'm going to say that it was just a recipe for failure. I can't say I've ever had that happen before, but here we are. All right. Let's see how the new shoes work. I mean, the new brakes. I guess. Oh, no squeaky. No squeaky. They're brand new. They're not even bedded yet. There'll be plenty of opportunity for squeaky later on. Just to bed these brakes very gently. They don't have a lot of stopping power at first, so you got to plan your stops ahead of time. I did make sure that all 10 lug nuts are torqued to factory spec. I get 100 foot-pounds of torque on those. So wheels will not be falling off. Not this time. Not this time. Okay. We really won't know how well these brakes are working until it'll be some time. A few thousand miles maybe. Also got to check my oil level. See, I am in a unique position where I can't really check my oil level at my house. I can't do it. I live on a hill. Driveway's a hill. Road is a hill. Everything's a hill where I live. And so it makes it hard, if not impossible, to check and verify the oil level. So I have to bring it somewhere flat and then check it. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I got to reset my maintenance counter and take that sticker down. But these are not a coated rotor, so they break in a little bit more like traditional brakes. The coated rotors, which I also have on my Miata, they do require a little bit of a more intense bed-in process. These you can pretty much just, look, nobody drives a brand new car and follows factory procedures to properly bed in their new pads. They just drive like normal. The manufacturer states one thing and people do another. That's just how it goes. This guy's just gonna pull right out in front of me because of course he is. White van man. If you know, you know. There's a song I think about it. The white van man. It's a term used in the UK. But yeah, we won't really get the full effect of these new brakes for quite some time. Once they're fully broken in. But I really tried to make sure to cross my I's and dot my T's on this one, because this is the second set of brakes in less than a year. I think I did the other set in September, maybe October. It's now August, so yeah, a little less than 1 year. This is my second set. So, and brakes aren't cheap, guys. Well, not if you're buying quality. You know, you can get cheap, you know, slap and stick brakes from AutoZone. Oh, look at that. Is that a Jimny? That looks like a Jimny. No, that's an old tracker. Anyway, yeah, you can get a set of pads and rotors for dirt cheap money. I'm talking Dollar Tree money, you know. I'm talking Section 8 money here. Yes, it can be done. Will they work well? No. You know, they're going to warp, they're going to shudder and chatter and squeal and holler. Or you can buy quality, which is what I'm trying to accomplish here. Quality brakes, quality car. Better pizza, Papa John's. Anyway. So 50,000 miles of ownership. This car has treated me pretty well. I mean, I haven't had any unexpected issues. I have nothing to complain about. Honestly. You know, any complaining I do is just nitpicking. Honest to God. I mean, I've watched several Mazda CX-5 reviews before I've come to the conclusion that there really isn't a lot of vehicle out there for this money that's better in any way. I mean, if you want more technology in a car, go ahead and buy a Korean car. Buy a Kia, buy a Hyundai. And I will say this much about Kia and Hyundai. They do the technology thing really well. If you want a tech-heavy car for not a lot of money, well, I mean, relatively speaking, for not Mercedes-Benz money, go ahead and buy that Kia, buy that Hyundai. They're not terrible vehicles. I have owned 3 of them. And they were all a cut above the competition when I bought them, except for the first Elantra, the 2010 Elantra. That was a little bit dated when I bought it, but it was also at the very tail end of that product life cycle. I bought a 2010, which was designed in like 06. So, you know, that car was at the tail end of its run. I bought it in 2011, or no, at the very end of 2010. You know, it was like a 2005 car in 2010, to put it one way. So what I like to do is I like to go to the nearest gas station and then check my oil level, fill up the tank, you know, do all the things right then and there. All right, so we got the oil level. Well, it's about half a quart low. I'm going to top it off with just a little bit more oil, and that should pretty much cover it. So, and I noticed that I opened up my my engine cover, and I found that somebody has been chewing away at the insulation under there. So, got to look into that. So yeah, new brakes, you got to really be careful before those pads are fully bedded into the rotors. You got to be careful. Stopping distance will increase. You don't want to use heavy brake pressure. You want to use light brake pressure. And once that's all broken in, should be okay. Brake fluid was changed like a year ago, so I'm not worried about that right now. The car is only 3 years old, you know. So I did it a year ago, and I'm not going to bother with it right now. Yeah, like last year, I did a whole bunch of work to this car. Like a bunch. And like a Brady bunch of work. And I did front and rear, diff, fluid, oil. I'm going to clean the driveway off. Hold on, let me back up. So far, so good, though. Anyway. Yeah. I'll park it right there. Anyway, so that's going to conclude our video. I'm going to reset everything, though. But you have to do it with the vehicle, the engine off. If I'm not mistaken, it has to be done. Shut up. It has to be done with the engine off. Hold on. Go back. Info. No, it's under settings. No, wait, where is it? Hold on. Ignition off. Accessory mode. There it is. I think that's it. Shut up. Okay. Where is it? I can't get to vehicle maintenance settings. Oh, ignition on. There we go. Reset interval. Reset. And I do a 3750 interval. And that should do it. Okay. Yeah. And that's it. And then I'm going to reset trip B. There we go. And that's how you do it. All that right there. That's from the insulation. They've been chewing at it from here. I'm sure nothing's living there though. Probably very quickly realized the error of their ways. Okay, so they chewed, there's a foam block on the inside of this intake manifold assembly. It's probably bolted, it's a sound deadener, that's all it is. But they chewed away a hole into that, and they used some of this little flossy type stuff from the sound deadener. That's just, it's a mixture of foam, the black foam, and the white cottony stuff. And what they did is they made themselves a little nest right in here. What a good place for it, huh? And I flushed out all the stuff that's loose. There's no damage, I mean, no wire damage that I can see. So I think we're okay there. Yeah, it's when they start chewing up wires that you start to realize that you have a problem. And believe it or not, this is how a lot of car fires start in garages. Not a lot, but it happens. It can happen. It can happen. It doesn't happen every day, but it's a thing that, yeah, just one of those things. But I don't think they're coming back anytime soon. I hope not. Okay, so it turns out this is a very common phenomenon. Mazda made the tastiest foam blocks to put between the intake manifold and the engine block, which obviously is going to attract mice and rodents. So that's one thing you might want to check on if you own one of these. We have two of them. There's one there and this one. So I'm going to check the other one to make sure that's not happening. Now I know about it. But we cleaned off what we could, and I mean, there's really nothing else I can do. You can buy the entire foam block for like $50 or something like that. It's not expensive, but getting to it is going to be the hard part because you've got to undo all kinds of electronic plugs and hoses and wires just to get it. Yeah, it's not something I'm looking forward to doing, for sure. So, but we're gonna, after I eat and get showered up, I'll take this for a nice long drive and dry up all this nonsense. But that is a thing that can happen to your Mazda. Not just the CX-5, but every vehicle this engine is used in, which is all of them. So, yeah. That's a thing you got to worry about now. Well, this is where all those leaves are getting in, by the way. So the leaves are coming in through the cowling and they're going down this way. Okay? It's not that hard. but since we removed all those leaves, I think it would be a good idea to flush out all the dust and dirt that's in there.
Honey,
Hold on.
are you
No.
ready?
Trying to get this hose in my hand here. So if I spray down there, it's going to flush out all the dust and dirt and all the loose stuff that we didn't get. I'll do that to the other side as well. One way to get water spots on your paint is to do this. I don't recommend it. But yeah, good. Good drainage. So this is my fiance's CX-5. It has about 5,000 miles on it. Now, she doesn't wash her engine like I do, which is why she has all this corrosion over here. It's one season is all it takes. She bought this car in December. It is now August. Let's see if she has any mouse damage under her engine cover. I never think to grab her car to get it cleaned. Maybe I should. So, nope. Yep. There's a little bit. Yep. I can see some chew marks. They're getting at it. Why Mazda did this? Yep, little chew marks. Unfucking believable. Yep, we just got to it. See if I can zoom in on that a little better. Yep, sure enough. Now they're not getting at the bottom of this because I don't see any of that floss, whatever you want to call it, getting out. But shit is rain. As right as rain. That's what they're doing. So this is a 2025. So it's basically the same vehicle, same everything as my 22. The only exception is it doesn't have cylinder deactivation. I'm going to have the neighbor who also has a CX-5. He's not home right now, but I'm going to have him take a look too, because this is a common issue on these engines. Mazda built the perfect little spot for mice to live. Now, what can we do about that? Well, I'm thinking mint oil might help. Just put a little bit of mint oil, like mint extract or something, in that foam, and it might actually work. It might keep them away. So I might look into that. Do some kind of mouse repellent. But what they're doing is they're getting in there, they're chewing up, and they're creating little places to sleep. But the neighbor's got the same car, and when I see him next, I'm going to have him pop his hood, and we'll take a look and see if they're getting to his too, because the word's getting around in the mouse community that Mazdas are a great place to live. I don't know if you guys can see this, but the car in front of me is driving sideways. Can you see it? Yeah, it's a little alignment problem there, buddy. You can see, yeah, the whole vehicle is kind of going down the road like this. Might want to get that looked at, bud. So yeah, I just got the oil level all fixed up. I went to the parts store. I picked up another small quart of oil, and I just topped it off. It was about half a quart low. Look at that thing. It's got to be 20 years old. I mean, that's like a 2006 Highlander. Looks to be in good shape though. Otherwise, I wonder what the front end looks like. It's got to be all smashed up. Anyway, so I got the oil level all settled down, and I've got Every time I change the oil in this car, or anytime I do anything major to it, I do a transmission reset. And what that does is it clears out all previously learned habits and values, and it resets everything to factory defaults, and it relearns the clutch engagement and all that happy stuff. It really keeps this transmission running pretty smoothly. And anytime it starts to feel a little bit rough, or it just doesn't shift nicely anymore, I just run that relearn procedure and it just fixes it. I'm going to try to put a link to that video that I use to, if you follow the steps in the video, you'll get it and it'll be fine. The only thing I want to point out is you got to really put some pressure on that brake pedal for that procedure to work. Otherwise it won't work. So, and you have to drive the car around a little bit to get the transmission fluid warmed up. Otherwise it won't go into learn mode. So that's what I'm trying to do here. But, yeah, it's 50,000 miles. I've done a lot of service to this car. I take care of my vehicles. It's had all fluids changed at least once. Coolant, brake, transmission, driveline, front and rear. You know, I don't... look, this thing set me back $32,000. I want it to last. You know what I mean? You know, today's Mazdas are built like yesterday's Toyotas. I think that would be one of the best ways to put that. They're built like Toyotas used to be. Earlier Mazdas from, you know, the 2010s, the late 90s, the 2010s, the 2000s, they were relatively trash. Not gonna lie, they were trash. I owned one. I had a friend who owned one, a Mazda 3. 2000, I think it was a 2003 or 4 Mazda 3. It rusted in front of her face. It just completely rotted out. I had a Mazda 626, which was largely built by Ford, and it was just hot trash. It really was. There were very few redeeming qualities in that car, to be honest. Very few, if any, redeeming qualities in that car. This is a different Mazda these days. This isn't your grandmother's Mazda. You know, this isn't the one you had in high school. This isn't what your mom used to drive. These newer Mazdas are just built well, and they have their quirks. They absolutely have their quirks. But every car has its quirks. You know, every car on the road today has something. They all have something. Whether it be body integrity, driveline, transmission, engine, there's always something with a modern car that is going to fail or is going to give you headaches. I bet you they're building a car wash over here. I kind of wonder about that. I'll have to ask. But I bet you that's what they do here. They build a car wash. Wouldn't that be something? We need another car wash. Anyway, I'm going to pull into a parking space and I'm going to reset my transmission, get it, you know, reset to factory defaults. We'll see how that goes. Okay, right now we are in relearn mode. This is what the dash looks like. I'm gonna put that video in the link. Anyone who owns a Mazda should know how to do this. It's gonna save you a service appointment and a little bit of money. You don't need any special tools or software. You just need you need a warm car, a parking space, and a little bit of time. Now it's done. So now that's flashing. There it goes. It's done. I can put it in park. Shut it off. Restart it. And I have a brand new transmission. Just like that, it's like a brand new car again. I've done this a couple of times in the 4 years I've owned it, but what's going to happen is you're going to find that as soon as you pull away, as soon as you hit the highway, it's like you're driving this car for the first time. It is so nice. What happens is these adaptive transmission controllers, they just start to develop bad habits. They pick up on driving habits that, I don't know, it's the weirdest thing. They get stupid and they start to shift rough. and unpredictably, and you have to just clear it, and that's how you take care of it, and it'll be good for another 6 months. That's pretty much it.